I challenge 3 other content creators to a battle in Pokemon TCG Pocket. First we have Xatumi, a Pokemon lover and recently reached the top 16 in the competitive format. Next we have PulseGlazer, a seasoned veteran in Marvel Snap, now also going into Pocket. And last but not least, Pack Bundles, a meta deck connoisseur and avid tournament enthusiast. Please check out their channels as well, I've placed their links in the description below. But for now, let's get into it. Today's deck that I'll be using is called Crimson Inferno. It's a name based on the highlight cards of the deck. Charizard EX has a move called Crimson Storm, and Moltres EX has a move called Inferno Dance, and together they match really well. But if you look more closely at the cards in my deck, I have 2 of each of the Charizard Evolution line in my deck and 2 Moltres EX as well. And in the trainer section I included 2 Sabrinas, Giovannis and Oaks, but also 2 Pokeballs, Potions and X-Speeds for extra versatility. You can find my full deck on xburst.dev, which is a great tool for deck building, so I've put a link down below. But for now, let's see how it went in my first game. My first game is against Pack Bundles, where after a coin flip I'll be going first, which is not my favorite. However, I get Moltres EX in my starting hand, which means I have 2 turns to place a Charmander card on the bench. Pack Bundles on the other hand is going for an Executor and Venusaur EX deck, which is beneficial to me because I have the type advantage, but he did not make it easy. I luckily start with Professor Oak in my hand, which gives me the opportunity to find a Charmander card for the bench. And even though I did not get Charmander, I did get a Pokeball card and another Oak for the next turn. The Pokeball has a 67% chance to give me Charmander, which I luckily do get. I immediately place on the bench and then end my turn. Pack Bundles plays his first energy on Execute, preparing him for Executor EX on his next turn. Interestingly, he also has a Caterpie line in his deck, which allows him to quickly find all grass Pokemon needed. As it is on the bench, it seems more of a burden to have in your deck, but let's see how it plays out. So back to my turn, I draw another Charmander card which I place and then also have an Oak. I have a great draw as I not only get Charmeleon, an important puzzle piece to get my deck running, but I also get a Pokeball for my Moltres EX. This is incredibly useful because it prevents my opponent Sabrina from putting my vulnerable Charmander in the active position. I place all my cards down, add the energy to my Moltres and go for my first Inferno Dance. Coin flips are not always my strong suit, as you might have seen in my previous video on Lickitung, and I only get 1 energy for my Charmeleon. Luckily I will have more chances, but for now it is Pack Bundles' turn again. So Pack Bundles also has a Professor Oak which he plays and gets 2 cards. He then places down an Oddish card, which means he has another grass line in his deck. Vileplume, the final evolution, can be quite annoying as it can put Pokemon to sleep. He also evolves his Bulbasaur and his Caterpie, but also his Execute to an Executor EX, where he immediately hits a head dealing 80 damage to my Moltres EX. So now it's back to my turn. I'm a little bit of a pickle because he can knock out my Moltres. I do get another Charmeleon card to evolve my other Charmander, but then I use an X-Speed to take my injured Moltres EX back to safety. I then place my other Moltres EX back to the active position, add an energy to it, and then start using Inferno Dance with my new Moltres. Hopefully this Moltres has a bit of better luck, because I need more than 1 coin flip in order to have a chance in this game. And luckily I do get 2 heads, meaning my Charmeleon now has 3 energy. However, this is not enough because I need 4 energy to get Charizard up and running, but also I need a Charizard in my hand. So back to Pack Bundles, he evolves his Oddish as well, puts an extra energy on Ivysaur, and then hits another heads with his Executor, and does another 80 damage. So back to my turn, and he can knock out my Moltres EX immediately, but luckily I have 2 potions in my hand. By using the 2 potions, I bring my Moltres EX back up to 100 points. This means he can't insta-kill it from his next turn. This gives me an extra turn to use Inferno Dance to get more energy on my Charmeleon, but it also gives me an extra turn to hopefully get a Charizard EX in my next draw of hand. Luckily, I get at least 1 heads, that means my Charmeleon now is at 5 energy, which is more than enough for Charizard EX to get up and running with Crimson Storm. So now back to Pack Bundles' turn, and he doesn't dare to do much, but he does get to attack again with Executor EX, but now only doing 40 damage luckily. However, my Moltres EX is now in a position where he can get killed, but luckily I finally get my Charizard EX. I immediately place it down on my Charmeleon with a lot of energy, and then decide to switch out my injured Moltres EX after some thinking. Because it required 2 energy, I retreated, put Charizard EX on the active spot, and then start using Crimson Storm to knock out my opponent's Executor. this is really the card I needed, because otherwise, if I had one more turn without a charged EX, he could have killed my Moltres and then it would be quite difficult for me to get points. But luckily I start off with 2 points, he plays down his Ivysaur, and then he sees what he can do afterwards. He actually has a Venusaur EX deck card in his hand, he places that one down, but then seeing the move only able to 100 damage, he realizes there's no point in winning anymore and he concedes the game. So I won my first game against another YouTube creator, which I'm super happy about, and I got to show off my Crown Charizard EX, which I got in my previous video. So please check out my previous video if you haven't seen it yet, because it was insane. I'm very happy that I got to win my first game, but I need to win more. So let's see how the next... So my next game is against Xatumi. And I know he's a pro, but luckily I go second in this game. So I get my starting hand and I have both cards that I need. I get a Moltres EX and a Charmander. So this is the perfect start. And I also have a Pokeball to get my other Charmander or Moltres EX running. But he plays Ditto, which I was super surprised about. Ditto has a move that can copy any other move of any Pokemon on the field. However, and this is something that Xatumi didn't know prior to this, you have to have the exact energy. Meaning he can't copy any of my fire type moves because he doesn't have fire energy. But he does play Sabrina, which is quite annoying because it puts my Charmander in active position, making him very vulnerable. So back to my turn, and I decide to use my Pokeball to get another card, which in this case is Moltres, which is very nice to have. I place that one down, and then decided to put my energy on my Charmander card. The reason for that is I want to put pressure on his lineup. So I wanted to use Ember on his Ditto. I know it wastes an energy, but this puts Ditto in KO range, because I have a Giovanni in my hand. So next turn, Xatumi plays also a Minccino. And then he uses Ditto move, and Ditto can't do anything. So back to my turn, I also get a Charmeleon card, which is super useful. But I don't use it yet because I need to use Ember to knock out my opponent's Ditto. So I then play Giovanni, giving me the extra 10 damage boost, and then use Ember to knock out the Ditto. This gives me my first point in the game, and this puts some pressure on Xatumi. However, I'm not out of the field yet because I still have my very vulnerable Charmander up there, and I have nothing else really going for me yet. So back to Xatumi's turn, he plays a Farfetch'd, and then also plays an Oak, giving him 2 more cards. However, he has nothing else to play, except for Dodrio. He evolves Dodrio to Dodrio, making him deal 40 damage to my Charmander. So my Charmander will lose this battle, but I get an Oak to hopefully maybe last me a little bit longer, because I need to get another Pokemon up and running before my Charmander goes down. And luckily I get my second potion, so I can bring Charmander back up to full health, giving me at least an extra turn of survivability, and this allows me to start ramping up another Pokemon such as Moltres. So I place an energy on Moltres and then end my turn without doing anything else. So back to Xatumi's turn, places energy on Minccino, and then uses his Dodrio to bring my Charmander back to 20 HP. And now we're back in my turn again, where I get a Pokeball, which is great because this allows me to get my other Charmander. So after using the Pokeball, I place a Charmander on the bench as well, and then I can start ramping up if needed. But for now, I place my energy on my Moltres, because I think Moltres has a better potential against his deck, because most of his Pokemon are around 70 HP, meaning Moltres can knock out most of them in one move. So I end my turn without doing anything, and I let my Charmander go down against Xatumi's Dodrio, giving him his first point as well. However, looking at the cards, I think I'm in a better position than he is, because I place my Moltres down who already has 2 energy. So back to my turn, and I get an X-Speed, which I would have loved maybe the turn before, so I can save Xatumi winning that point, but it is what it is. I evolve my Charmander, place my third energy on Moltres, and then decide to use Sabrina to make him force in a Pokemon which will instant dive. The reason for that is I want to put pressure on him. By knocking out my second Pokemon, I get my second point. If I didn't do that, Dodrio would have dropped to 10 HP and he would have switched it out for something else. Because I was very scared still with Minccino. But in this way I put pressure on his cards, and therefore he has to be safe, and he can't use Cinccino yet. Because Cinccino is able to do 90 damage, similar to what Pikachu can. But back to my turn, and I get an energy, but I first upgrade my Evolve. I evolve my Charmeleon to a Charizard EX, and give it that energy in case it is needed. But in the meantime, I use Heat Blast, 70 damage on his Dodrio, and is back to his turn. However, he also gets another Dodrio, which he then switches in, meaning he still has 2 turns of surviving. He does another 40 damage to my Moltres, bringing it quite low as well, but I get the crucial card at this moment in time, showing you the importance of Sabrina. I use Sabrina, which makes him force in any Pokemon, and all of them instant die to Heat Blast from Moltres. This gives me my 3rd point, and the win as well, which I'm super happy about, but on the other hand, I know I learned from Xatumi. He didn't know how Ditto worked, but he learned at least now afterwards. But I will take the win, and let's see my next game. So my last game is against PulseGlazer, and I know he's a very good card battler because I've seen his snap videos, and in this game I'll be going first, which is also not the best. But I do start with a Moltres EX, which I place down, but I don't have a Charmander sadly. And he flips over 2 Ponytas, meaning he probably has a Rapidash Ninetales deck. But I start lucky with a Professor Oak card, which I immediately use, and I hope to get a Charmander, but I don't. But I do have 2 Pokeballs in my hand, meaning I guarantee myself a Charmander after using them. So I use the first one, I actually get a Charmander in my first try already, and then use my second Pokeball to get my other Charmander as well. Where I was hoping actually to get a Moltres, but again, it is what it is. So I place both my Charmanders down, and then end my turn and to see what he can do next. So, PulseGlazer draws a card and also uses Oak, getting 2 more cards. He then places down the Vulpix, meaning he is indeed using the Ninetales deck. So this is something I need to be aware of, right? Because Ninetales can be very fast doing loads of damage. But in my turn I place down the energy of my Moltres EX, I can't do much else, but I do use Inferno Dance, and I get quite lucky because I get 2 point flips in heads, which I don't often get. So I place both of them down on one of my Charmanders and then end my turn. So Pulse's turn, he uses a Pokeball as well, giving him another basic card. And he evolves his Vulpix to Ninetales. And this is quite important because he puts the energy on Ninetales. And now back to my turn, and I make a very stupid mistake here. Because Ninetales is able to do 90 damage with Flamethrower. And I know Ninetales decks often have either a Giovanni or a Blaine, but I forgot to put an extra potion on my Moltres, meaning my Moltres could insta die when he's using Ninetales. And I do have a potion in my hand, I have 2 of them even, but I forgot to use them. So now back to Pulse's turn, and indeed puts Ninetales in front, puts another Vulpix down, and then uses Giovanni. This is a crucial mistake in the game because this gives Pulse 2 points against me. My Moltres goes down, his Ninetales is up in the active position, and I only have 2 Charmanders which are not able to do much. I really need something now in order to still win this. So luckily on my turn I get another Professor Oak, which is very useful, I use it immediately, and I get a Moltres EX card. I don't get a Charmeleon yet, which is very crucial as well, but at least I have a Moltres EX, which gives me a little bit of extra turns to survive. So I put the energy in my Moltres, retreat my Charmander, and then put Moltres in my active position. So Ninetales can 2-ko my Moltres, but I use Inferno Dance to hopefully get some more energy on my Charmander, which I don't because I'm unlucky. But it's back to his turn, and let's see what he can do, because if he has a Blaine, that's also quite tricky. He doesn't have Blaine luckily, but he does another 90 damage to me and also has another Ninetales back up and running almost as well. In my turn I don't get a Charmeleon, I do get a Giovanni, which is not that useful, so I try to use Sabrina, which I know won't really help that much, but I'm trying to win some time. Because time is the only thing I have, and also that's not going in my favor. But I use Inferno Dance, and let's see what happens in the end, but I think I'm not going to win this anymore. And I do get 2 heads in a row, which, well, are not really that helpful because I don't have Charmeleon. And this is the issue with running a 3-stage or 2-stage deck in that sense, where you need a Charmander, Charmeleon and a Charizard, because if you're missing one, it's quite tricky. And especially that middle stage evolution, Charmeleon is quite hard to get somehow. So Pulse uses Ninetales, knocks out my Moltres, gets another 2 points and wins the game, and sadly I lose against Pulse. However, I had a lot of fun in these 3 games, so huge shout out to Pack Bundles, Xatumi and PulseGlazer. And if you'd like to see more of these videos in the future, please like and subscribe. I have some more fun videos planned in the future as well, but for now, see you next week.